Welcome back. I don't like trigger warnings in the slightest, at least not the ones that kind of say, oh, this video may trigger or evoke a certain emotion within you, so therefore you should run and hide and seek refuge. I'm going to be honest, this video might trigger you, and that's exactly why you should stay here. Shaking things up in the name of moving through it, feeling it, healing, and being free. I might say things quite matter-of-factly as well throughout this video and sound quite blunt. I'm aware of this, but it's only because I really do speak with a lot of conviction of what it takes to kind of, let's call it, reshuffle the brain and the ego with this kind of subject. Throughout this TED Talk, I also want to focus on certain words that I really want you to put a big emphasis on, and then the way we're going to use the word, because as you know, words hold deep meaning. They're very powerful. I personally don't limit body dysmorphia or extremely bad distorted body vision to certain sports or where you have to make weight, or certain eating disorders, or more male or more female, because the way I look at it right now, I do see a global pandemic of, let's call it, body dissatisfaction. So yes, there is technically body dysmorphia, which can be much more, I would call it, ingrained in your brain, and therefore your perception, the way you see yourself, the way you think about yourself, and it can get a real controlling grip on your life. I guess that's what people would call severe body dysmorphia, but what I'm seeing on a mass scale is, like I said, body dissatisfaction. And despite doing good habits like going to the gym, lifting weights, looking after yourself, eating healthy, I do think that the amount of emphasis people are placing on what they're searching for within those healthy habits is so far off the chain that it doesn't surprise me that a lot of people continuously feel like they're fighting a lost battle. This includes some of the most in shape people I know, because no matter what you do physically or nutritionally, this all comes down to a distorted perception in the brain. And I would assume that you've had multiple experiences in your life, probably many, if you're anyone like me, where life has reflected back to you by this point. What you see, how you visualize yourself, how you describe yourself is not the same as someone would describe you if they saw you in the street. So I'm pretty sure you have evidence from life in some way. And I want to make it clear as well, like, this is not a label of something you might find out about yourself, something you realize about yourself, and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm stuck with this. This is the way I have to live my life now. This is a condition that I was doomed with because of my trauma. The way that I would think of it, right, in the name of healing, it would be, okay, I find this out about myself. I find out that about myself. I realize that it's a hindrance in life. Therefore, I will do everything in my power to strip myself of this, because I know that my life without it would be a lot easier, a lot more productive, a lot more fruitful. What I can't stand, and I will never, ever have tolerance for, is when people use labels, conditions, or things that they are suffering with or experiencing, let's say currently, and they kind of stamp it on them as a badge of, this is what I have, this is what I am, this is how I suffer. I want everyone to know this has now become a part of my identity, and therefore I am encapsulating my beliefs about myself, and therefore I am encapsulating my life experience. I don't want to try and understand that mindset, because for anyone and everyone that's watching this video, if especially is to do with this subject, yes, there is freedom, yes, there is a way out, and yes, you can do it by yourself. And let me tell you, the best weapon that you have to heal your own perception or relationship with your body is that awareness that you are dealing with a faulty feedback system. Am I telling you you're broken? Yes, to some degree, but that's a good thing. You're responding to something that is not accurate information and placing more emphasis, energy, and concern over it. I want to ask you a question. So you go to work every day. Let's say there's someone that checks in with you when you get there. I don't know, maybe you're a CEO, you're whatever. You have a lot of people beneath you, right? Feeding you information. And then when you get to work every day, you know that there's this one person that's going to meet you at the door, give you a ton of information, and try and make you believe it. What do you do when you find out that the information of the person that you trust and you work with is giving you faulty information, is perhaps lying to you at times? Serious question. Do you keep engaging with that person, or do you fire them? You fire the person, right? You say, get the fuck out. Because what it's making you do is act on things that aren't really there. And we all know that our perception on the inside dominates everything we see, we experience, we feel. So what I'm going to tell you to do is stop taking yourself seriously. Not in all areas of life, but in this one area where you have the beautiful awareness and you have received that information that yes, I am suffering, And I'm really, really going through it because I am engaging with a feedback system that shows me something that I am not. This is one of those cases where it should be a real relief to find out that you've got something. Because honestly, if you were going back to the mirror every single day and thinking, oh wow, you know, like I work out every day, but I feel like the nutty professor, or I feel like I look like the nutty professor. Yes, I can! Not there's anything wrong with the nutty professor. I actually really love him, but you know what I mean. Let it be light. Let it be one of those moments rather than oh shit moments. I'm not going to leave you with that. Like, oh, okay, I'm aware now I'm functioning with a system that doesn't serve me. I just won't look in the mirror and I won't care. Not at all. It is something you have to coach yourself through. It's definitely not easy because I know that these habits of checking the body, checking abs, kind of, when you see something you don't like, you have the power to say, I will not engage with this. I understand what I'm working with. I understand that it's difficult. I'm going to place my energy elsewhere. Without realizing it, this actually becomes a huge part of the solution again, because the more emphasis you put on something, the bigger it gets, right? The more it expands. No pun intended. And eventually as well, when you stop over-analyzing, over-emphasizing, and over-enhancing certain parts of yourself, the problem dies down. Again, the problem is fed majorly by the consistency. Let me make it clear, I'm not extending this to people that are objectively overweight and look in the mirror and see something they don't like. I'm not saying that they should continue to look in the mirror and see something they don't like, but I also don't want people that are objectively unhealthy to kind of use this method to be like, oh, you know, it's not that bad, I'll just stop looking. Please take care of your health. I do think that with body dysmorphia, it's different to getting therapy as with other conditions because it is such an intimate relationship with yourself that needs to be healed. And that does start with daily things that you do in the house, you know, like not checking in the mirror when you know it's going to give you a negative emotion or perception of yourself. That's another thing I want to distinguish here. There is not avoidance, right? No one is saying that. Again, I want everyone to be their happiest, healthiest, best version of themselves. And that does require a lot of self-care, self-attention, self-progression, self-analysis, self-awareness. I see it as self-sabotage and self-abuse if you already have the awareness that that's going on and you keep going back for more and more and more. I have to question, do you want to suffer? Do you want to heal? Or does this level of suffering keep you safe? Is it a reason for you not to grow and expand and to heal in life? And I think that's a valid question we all have to ask ourselves. Ultimately as well, I think whether you're someone that has skewed body image or not, the more we all take emphasis off of our appearance, or at least obsessing over certain parts of our appearance, the better the quality of life, no matter who you are. As with anything in the mind, when you're trying to retrain it, of course it takes time. But what I will say, even if you are making the tiniest bit of progress on a daily basis, even if that is checking less, better positive inner dialogue, reminding yourself, okay, I know what I'm up against and I can use this to my advantage. Or even if it's, you know what, today I really let it swallow me. I really gave the part of me that I shouldn't be giving attention to way too much attention today, but tomorrow will be different. Even that, in my opinion, is intentional growth in the right direction. Ultimately, in a situation like this, you know, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that anyone else can do to lift that weight off of your shoulders. Yes, of course, people can aid you in your journey, but you are the only person that can really set yourself free by making the decision, I understand what I am suffering with now, or at least what I am experiencing now. When it comes to labels in life, okay, well, let's use them to understand, but we should be then ridding, not gaining and attaching to them. Do I think that you should be completely avoiding the mirror if you have something like body dysmorphia? For some people, for a short period of time, yes, it can benefit them. In the longer term, I don't think so. You know, like if it's avoiding alcohol, if it's avoiding seeing the way that we look 24 hours a day, I also don't see that as a healthy human experience or mindset or reality. And you need to remind yourself it is okay to step in front of the mirror, to see something that you initially don't like or have a negative feeling or response to, and to in that very moment dive in and say to yourself, I understand what's happening here. I will not benefit from this. I will not engage with this. That right there is what you need to do on a daily basis. The thing is as well, negative dialogue about ourselves, especially if it's not just about, oh, you know, like, hi, my name's Miles and I'm crap at maths. You know, that's a bit different. But when it's about your whole entire appearance, and you have negative dialogue about it, even just internally to yourself, you best believe that that energy trickles into every other area of your life, even if you can't feel it. Just like positive words and affirmations have a positive effect on our experience, even if we don't feel it in the moment. If you're someone that is spiritual or prays, even when we pray, we may not feel it in the moment, but we may reap the rewards later down the line. And I always say you've overcome something when you're able to take it lightheartedly and laugh at it, right? You may not be able to laugh at yourself immediately, but I promise that one day you will get there. Again, the more emphasis you take off of it and put in other places that actually serve you, you're on your way.